Hello guys, it's Joshua, and today we're going to be doing the second part of the Thor superhero landing. In today's tutorial, we're actually going to do the lightning that we didn't do on the first. So yeah, let's get into it. So we're going to double click on the lightning layer so that we're actually in the main comp. And in here, we're going to create a new solid, call this lightning. We're going to drop down advanced lightning. And we want to duplicate some things. So we're going to click roto. And holding control, click the null, camera tracker, and the footage. And we're going to click control D, duplicate those. And then we're going to click control on the lightning. And then right click, recompose. And we're going to name this lightning comp. Okay, drop this below the roto. And double click inside. So now it's essentially the same thing. The guy will be animated. There won't be any dust or anything, but that's fine. So we're going to go to the roto and the footage by clicking control, right click, and guide later. This is so that the footage is actually not visible. If we turn this comp off, or if we leave it on, this what was in the other comp won't show in this comp. It's a guide layer. So we can also lower the opacity of the footage just so we can see lightning a little bit better, I find. Yeah, we're going to start with the lightning that follows the person. So I'm going to name this follow lightning. And we're going to change a few things. We're going to change it from direct to strike. Go to the glow settings, change the opacity to 0. Like that. To the expert settings, we're going to drop the forking to about 50. Click Alt on the stopwatch. Click and wiggle. Bracket 6, 50 bracket. Close that. And what this does is it just kind of randoms the forking. So it goes in and out like that. Obviously this forking's way too long. So we're going to change the turbulence down to something like 0.6. We're going to change the forking to about 50. And then we're going to increase the decay. So now the forking isn't as long, the decay gets rid of that. Then the forking gets rid of it. So now we just have little things flicker. Alright. The way we're going to actually make this work, if we unsolo the layer, is we're going to make it a 3D layer. Click P on the keyboard for your null so you can get the position. Control C to copy it. The lightning, Control V. So the lightning is now in a 3D space. You can just move the Z back a bit. Then move the Y up. And we just want this box to stay in frame the whole time. It clearly goes out, so then you can just scale it up. Grab a corner and hold shift to Alright, perfect. I'm going to trim this comp here because it doesn't need to be that big. So we're going to click on the advanced lightning, get the top part, put it up there, get the bottom one, and put it somewhere where you want it to come out from. That. I'm also going to change the color before I do some copying, so what I like to do is I like to have the hue around, I could type it in 225, 95, and then this could be anywhere between 90 to 95, so I'm going to do 92. And that's the blue that I kind of like for the lightning. But we're going to go to direction, click the stopwatch, and then we're going to go down a couple pages, so page down, and then just move it to where we want. Just do this all the way down. Alt, square bracket to trim the layer. I just did it a little bit after when he hits the ground. Alright, so you can see the lightning is kind of growing out of him and following the position of him. Before we copy that, what we're going to do is actually go to core radius. I'm going to change this down to 1. Then click Alt on the time watch, type in wiggle, bracket 2 comma 0.8 bracket. So what this does, it allows the lightning to flicker opacity. It gives it a bit more real look to it. Alright. So then what we have to do is you can have as many lightning strikes as you want following the person. In the video it had 3, so I'm just gonna do 3, so you just duplicate it once. And a thing you could do, so if you don't want to move all the keyframes that you just placed, you can go to the origin, like the actual top part of the lightning. So here's lightning. Click on it. You can just move this over here, and now you have 2 lightnings. The only thing is the lightnings are going to be in the same spot, so it might look a bit funny, but I find you can do that with one. Do that, and then if you duplicate one more, click U, get rid of the keyframes, and then from this one you want to move this one, so put it in the middle, put it a bit to the side actually, and then you're just gonna have to keyframe the direction, so click stopwatch and then go a couple frames again and then move it down. Alright, so this is the lightning we have growing out of them. And track. You can see that they all turn off at the same time. What you can do is you can just kind of randomize the length of the comp. If you want to, you can actually animate the opacity, like press T on the keyboard, go a couple frames forward, and then put it to 0. I'm not actually going to do that because I just like the cutout, but that's just an option there. So that's for the following lightning, and then we're going to duplicate that. We're going to name this the body lightning and move it over. U on the keyboard to get rid of the keyframes, and just kind of move it to where we want. Turn off the other ones. So for this one, what we're going to do is we're actually going to change the color of it first, so we know it's a different part of the lightning. We're going to animate the conductive state, and then this, what it does is it randomizes the lightning. We're going to click Alt, and we're just going to type in time preference 0.1. And what this is going to do, if we solo it, is it's going to randomly just kind of move things over time. It's not going to move them that often, but we don't want it to be jittering around as often. So I'm going to also extend that. Unsolo this. And another thing I'm going to do is go to the core settings, and I'm going to, well, actually, you don't need to go there. Click U on the keyboard, see where everything is, and I'm going to change the the wiggle expression on the core radius from 0.8 to 1. So now we can actually have the lightning fade on and off from times. For this, you might actually have to animate the direction too. So there's a point where my guy stands up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to animate the position. So if you go to direction, click the keyframe. And what I like to do is I like to keep the keyframes right after each other. Because if you have space in between it, you have an animation of this moving along. But if you go frame after frame, from here to here, it jumps from there to here, instead of like animating along his back. If you like that, you can do it, and there's nothing stopping you, but that's not what I'm trying to achieve. For this one too, what I like to do is actually animate the opacity. So you can do this 2 ways. You can use T for the opacity, or you can just use the core radius. I'm just going to do the core radius, so I'm going to put this to 100, put a keyframe, go a couple frames, and then put it down to 75 again. So now we have this initial dark glow or bright spot, and then it kind of fades back to its original thing. Alright, so there's that. So if we unsolo it Alright, so we're going to duplicate the lightning. We're going to click advanced functions, or advanced lightning, and we're going to change the spot we want it coming from. So this is the same as the falling. You can have it at the same origin unless you want to change it. But for the most case, you can just use the same origin. It doesn't have to, unless you want like certain things like to come from his arm. If you want to come from like his arm, for example, you would have to click U on the keyboard. Get rid of the direction keyframes. Have it set to his arm. And move this one over. And then direction, add a keyframe. And then whenever his arm moves, so his arm is starting to move right here. So I'm going to drag this keyframe there. And the next frame, have it just move over here. And you can do this more than once. Say if you wanted to switch from there to there, you just drop another keyframe there, and then move this there. Now it's jumping from his arm to behind him to. Alright, and to also randomize this a little bit, you can drag beginning a bit. Put it how you like. You don't want it too early because you don't want it to strike before he actually hits the ground. And you want to move the keyframes. So you can see that this strike is now in the right spot. So to fix that, you can just figure out where it is in the right strike. Right there, add a direction, go one frame forward, and move it somewhere else. Now, maybe not. So if we're going to move it over here, rid of this keyframe, slide that one over. Alright, as you can see, there's the lightning following the person, then when he hits the ground, it strikes down. There's a few things that are going to change here. You can see the opacity flickers on really quickly and then flickers off. I'm going to change that. And you can also add a fourth one. In my example, I had 4 of them, but I'm only going to keep 3. Then I'm also going to have the initial lightning that follows them go a little bit longer. So you click U on the lightning, you're going to have to change the radius or the opacity just a little bit. I'm also going to trim these layers so it's a bit random so they don't all strike at the same time. Alright, and then I'm gonna bring these lightnings down a little bit more. After that, now you can see when you change when each of them fades in and fades out, it just adds a little bit more real look to it and doesn't look like one ends and then the next one comes in. So that's how we're going to do that. And if you don't like how much they're moving, you can get rid of the conductive state animation, or you can actually just bring down the turbulence of it. So I'm going to change that to 0.5 for all of them, just so it's not twitchy as much, more like Thor's lightning. Then we're going to copy the body layer, rename this to floor lightning. Here's color green. Silhouette. And for this one, it's going to be the actual lightning strikes that hit the ground. So you're going to change it from strike, breaking. We're going to create a mask on the bottom. Go to alpha obstacles. Change that to 15. Go to expert settings and then change the terminal threshold to like say 5. Now the lightning is right on the lightning, or right on the mask. If we click play, it's just dancing there. Alright. From there, I'm also going to change the forking to about 30. And the turbulence to about, matching up the turbulence. Yeah, actually. Do the turbulence at 0.5. Alright. And then this is the same thing, you can have it come in at any other time, so I'm going to move this along. Get rid of the position keyframes. That, minimize that. Unsolo it. And I want to move this, so if you press V on the keyboard to get rid of your mask, if you have that, you can grab the X and you can move it over. You can move in the Z space. Another thing, if you wanted to, you can create more nulls with the camera track. Find a spot and then parent this to the nulls. But I find the amount of time they're in frame, it doesn't need to have perfect Z space kind of perspective. But open that up and move this like that. And then for these, I like to keep them shorter than the actual lightning of the person. Let's say that's a second or second and a half on frame. It just kind of stays there and glows. If you move the opacity keyframes like we did, then it'll have that initial big glow and that. So then you can move these around. You can duplicate, Control D, move one over here, move it back. If you want to change the seed, you have to move the origin. So you can see the lightning comes down, strikes, and then stays in the spot. This one here is moving because of the conductive state. It's animated, so I'm gonna actually. This also helps to name them, so I'm gonna do right, back. This one's the front. It's left, back, right, front. Just helps so you know where the lightnings are. So for the front, I'm actually going to get rid of the conductive state so it stays in the one spot the whole time. I'm also going to trim that layer. So you can have these come down right when the strike itself happens. So like when he hits the ground, it's like these lightning strikes come down with him. You can always randomize it to make it look a little bit better. Make sure you move the keyframes if you want to keep that in strike. Alright, so you can see when he hits the ground, lightning strikes come out. They're a bit random there. Almost like they go around in a circle, which kind of looks cool actually, not gonna lie. But for these, you can do the same thing if you want them to fade out. You can just add like a T, go a couple frames forward, and go like that. I'm actually gonna do that for these ones because it looks a little bit nicer. So if you copy, Control C, and then Control V on all the layers. Copy that, come up here, paste it, click U. You'll have the opacities there. Maybe randomize these. Oops, go them on this one. Now we should have the lightning strike following him, strike, and then these other ones in the ground. Alright. From there, we're going to do the little ground glow, so I'm going to copy the 3 lightning strikes. You don't need the front because you can't see the bottom of the front. So Control D, move them up to the top, change the color to like any color you want, and just choose one of them. So I'm going to solo this one, do a linear wipe to 180, and then do the transition. And you want it right before it goes down, so oops. So I guess 69 is the last one before, and then you could feather it just a bit. So from there, we're gonna add a fast blur. We're gonna do horizontal, add it that exposure, so you can actually see what's happening. Boost that up, add a fast blur. You could drop another fast blur, you would change it to vertical and then expand it. You don't really need to do this as much because it's already so tall. So you can just bump up the horizontal instead. And it'll do the same effect, kind of. Or maybe you can just add a quick one. Change it to vertical and blur it a bit. So this is just for the ground glow kind of thing. And then I'm going to copy those 4 effects, holding Shift, Control C. So the first one here, Control V. There it is, and then same thing there, Control V. Now it's it. Alright, so you can see they're kind of dark right now. You can adjust the exposure afterwards. Like, we're gonna actually go back to our main comp now and color correct it by going to lightning comp, make sure everything's not hidden. Open it. And for the lightning, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add solid composite, change to black, add a glow. Easiest way I do it is I do 10, 10, and then 0.1. And I duplicate that, change the 10 to, like, say 90. Actually, I can do it a little bit higher this time. 110, duplicate, change this to like 200. Then we just kind of get this glow. Change the blending mode to add. And now you can see like the hot spots are a bit bright for me, but depends on which you're going for. Drop a hue and saturation. Bring down the saturation to -20-ish. So this is kind of brings a little white back into it. An exposure. Bring it up again. It looks more like lightning. And the last one is all if you like, but I think it adds a little bit to the lightning. It's a vector blur, and then you just put it like 3 or something like that. Just makes it a little bit thinner and more like lightning. And if you go to lightning, duplicate it. Name this the white center. Click everything by holding Control A, and get rid of the hue and saturation and the exposure. Add a tint. Bring the tint above the glow. So now we have the more white look to it. If you before and after, this just makes the lightning look a little bit hotter. Save that. So then a way you can do some adjustments is you can actually lock this comp. You lock it up here, double click the lightning, move this comp over. Alright. There we go. So move the comp that you just opened over, so like that. And then the hot spots here, you can see they're really bright, so then you can bring down the exposure. Something. Say like 1. One should be changing. No, I guess it was this one. But obviously that's a bit too low. So then let's change it back to like say 3. There you go. So then you just gotta fool around adjusting the settings. Change it to 3 maybe on all of them. Then change the lighting around. Yeah, but this pretty much sums everything up. Exit of that. So you have your comp where you did the animation of the scale, and the reason it's not coming up is because I locked the other one. So if you open it, bring it. And what I like to also do is work on full when you're doing the lightning, because when you work on half, the lightning actually does change quite a bit. It seems like the glow is a lot brighter. So even though the time might take a little bit longer, or but you can see when it's on half, the glow looks a lot brighter. When you change it back to full, it's a lot thinner and more lightning like. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up this tutorial. Hope you guys enjoyed the 2-part series for the Thor superhero landing. Quite fun making it. And if you have any recommendations for future tutorials, just leave them in the comments. And yeah, have a good one. Bye.